What's going on, guys, and welcome to Highly and Alph Gaming. I'm your host, Alph, and today we're doing back-to-back remake videos. A while back, I made a video detailing my top 5 most wanted Switch games, and by a while back, I mean, geez, over a year ago? However long ago it was, that list is somewhat outdated, mostly because a lot of my top picks have been announced and or released since then. You know me though, I'm a greedy little brat whose desires will never be totally fulfilled. So today I'm bringing you a fresh new list of games I want. Slight disclaimer, since multiple games from my old list still remain unannounced, I won't talk about any games I mentioned previously. So yes, that means no Pikmin 4, even though I still want that the most. Anyway though, other than that, the rules are identical to my last video. Any unannounced game, port, original, or sequel, basically every game I want them to announce is fair game. Without further ado, let's just jump into it. I talked about getting the Wii U Zelda ports on Switch in my last video on this topic, but today I'm getting a bit more ambitious and asking for a brand spankin' new 2D Zelda game. Admittedly, I've never been a huge fan of top-down adventure games, but many of the genre's more modern entries have certainly captured my fancy. I really liked the indie game Blossom Tales, but more relevant to this topic is A Link Between Worlds. Link Between Worlds is the most recent original 2D Zelda game to come out, releasing in 2013 for the 3DS. Even though its world map was almost identical to that of A Link to the Past, Link Between Worlds was an incredibly good and impactful Zelda game. The gameplay was great, especially with all its new mechanics like the new item rental system. You could also conquer groups of dungeons in any order, which helped the Zelda franchise take one step closer to its current biggest game, Breath of the Wild. I almost think Link Between Worlds was limited a bit, both by Link to the Past's map and the underpowered 3DS itself. Get some new, equally fresh ideas, make a new map, then use the much more powerful Nintendo Switch, and they've got a recipe for one fantastic Zelda game. I know a new 2D Zelda isn't very likely since they're already making Breath of the Wild 2 and the Link's Awakening remake came out literally a couple weeks ago, but that won't stop me from dreaming. Link's Awakening is a great game as is, so getting rid of the old map and hardware by making a full sequel would make for one terrific Zelda game. For my fourth most wanted Switch game, I've chosen a new 3D Donkey Kong game. The world already has 4 awesome Donkey Kong Country games to enjoy, but as far as 3D Donkey Kong games go, we have exactly one. I should probably make it clear that I've never played Donkey Kong 64 for the Nintendo 64, but I've seen plenty of videos about it, and I've also heard plenty of nasty things. The 3D platformer genre was so young when DK64 came out, so it's not like I could have expected everyone to call the game a masterpiece. From what I've heard, Donkey Kong 64 was like a normal late 90s collectathon, but essentially split up into 5 separate games, one for each of the playable characters. I don't mean there were actually 5 separate games, but you had to swap out different characters all the time to hit different switches and collect special bananas and such that were specific to each character. This broken up design, along with a handful of other problems, ultimately made the game a subpar experience. At least that's what I've heard. Again, I've never played DK64. When I first heard the game was bad though, I was honestly surprised. I mean, apparently the game wasn't designed well, but it looks super charming and unique. It's all jungles and bananas and rap music. I think it's safe to chalk all the bad stuff up to the decade in which the game was made. 3D gaming was still in its infancy then, so the devs were probably just trying something new that happened to be a failure. Now that people actually know how to make good 3D games, I think we should give 3D Donkey Kong another chance. Donkey Kong 64 had such a fun, original identity, so wasting that on a poorly made game is, well, wasteful. I hate to see great ideas get used up on a bad game, which is exactly why I want a new 3D original Donkey Kong game. Similar feel, similar ideas, but in a game that's, you know, actually good. I've avoided playing DK64 in the past because of the bad things I've heard, but if Nintendo made a modern-day 3D Donkey Kong, I might just have to give it a try. At number 3, I'm picking Mario Kart 9. We already have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on the Switch, but that was released within the console's first few months, and it was a port. If the Switch is gonna last over 7 years like Nintendo says, I think that's cause for a new Mario Kart. And if I'm being honest, I think the series could use a pretty big shakeup. Mario Kart Wii and DS had really original characters and stages, and Mario Kart DS in particular had that awesome missions mode, but I think all subsequent games have been sorely lacking in identity and originality. Mario Kart 7 and 8 are both very well made games, but what exactly did they bring to the table? Mario Kart 7 had the hang glider and, I guess it had underwater driving, but that didn't really feel new to me when I played it. Mario Kart 8 had hovercar driving, but again, that doesn't really feel much different than normal driving. Now, I'm not saying I think Mario Kart 7 and 8 are bland, garbage games with no new good qualities. I'm just saying that in my personal opinion, they feel like very generic Mario Kart games. They feel to me like Nintendo just wanted to crank out a couple good Mario Kart games without making them too unique or spending too much time on them. That got a bit too ranty, but the main point I wanted to make was that we need a new original Mario Kart game with a soul. I want cool ideas like 2 characters per kart, or a new mission mode, or a story mode, or a Pikmin track. Maybe they could even finish what they started with the Mario Kart 8 DLC and make it full-on Nintendo Kart. They could still call it Mario Kart to keep the brand alive, but why not make the game a full blending of all Nintendo's major IPs? Mario Kart is such a broad, awesome idea with such potential for great original mechanics and ideas that I think it's a crime to just add hang gliding sections to tracks and a couple new characters and call it a day. Okay, now that I've bashed the modern Mario Kart franchise for a couple minutes, I think I can move on and say that I don't see a Mario Kart 9 in the near future. I really hope we get it on the Switch, but Nintendo seems content with just giving us Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for the time being. More importantly than that, though, is the recent release of Mario Kart Tour. I won't give my opinions on Mario Kart Tour for the time being, but from where I'm sitting and writing this script, it seems like a very big deal. Just about all my friends, even most of the non-gaming ones, are hooked on Nintendo's latest mobile game, and I feel like Nintendo is content to let the franchise rest on everyone's iPhones for a year or two before making a full console sequel. I hope I'm wrong, but I think we're going to be waiting a good long time before we get the big, ambitious, epic Mario Kart 9 I've been waiting for. Before I go into my number 2 pick, I should probably say that I'm not a huge RPG guy. I've never formally beaten any sort of turn-based RPG, nor have I ever gotten super deep into anything outside like a couple tactics games. That said, I have mountains of respect for the first few games in the Paper Mario series. As far as what I've actually played, I've only ever completed the first few areas in Thousand Year Door, but I loved what I saw. Like I said, I never got super into the game because that style of gameplay just really isn't my thing, but I can still absolutely appreciate the superb product Nintendo created. Mario in storybook form is such a simple premise, but the unique, wacky locales boasted by the first 3 Paper Mario games bring the franchise up enough for me to call it one of Nintendo's most unique IPs. The story, world, and characters are all phenomenal in those first 3 games, but in the only game I've played, Thousand Year Door, the gameplay was also really solid too. The combat itself had some very fun action commands, and the game in general boasted a very fun system of leveling up and badges. I really wish this was the type of genre I could get hooked on, but unfortunately I just have to live with the first few areas I could be bothered to see. There isn't all good news here though, as Nintendo hasn't been so kind to the Paper Mario series in recent entries. The last 2 games in particular have been some of Nintendo's most hated products of all time, and the main reason those recent games have been so universally hated seems to be that Nintendo stopped trying. I don't have the knowledge or the authority to try to explain exactly why Paper Mario lost its soul. I'll try to remember to link some other people's videos on that topic in the description, but suffice it to say that the franchise just hasn't been the same. The stories and locations have been lackluster, the gameplay looks to have gone downhill, the newest Paper Mario games are just kinda blah. This lack of quality is why I'm asking for a good original Paper Mario game as my number 2 spot. This isn't a genre I really even like, but the idea of seeing a new, crazy, wild story in another Paper Mario game is appealing enough for me to pick it as number 2. I spent more time talking about the old games than I did detailing what I would want in a new one, but that's just because I'd be happy getting a product of equal quality to Thousand Year Door. I really doubt that's gonna happen, but that's what this list is for. Also, hashtag remaster Thousand Year Door. And now, for my potentially surprising number 1 pick, we have a sequel to Mario+Rabbids Kingdom Battle. Mario+Rabbids Kingdom Battle, or Mario & Rabbids as I'll refer to it henceforth, is a turn-based strategy RPG thingam on the Switch that was developed by Ubisoft. It sees the Mario universe cross over with Ubisoft's weird, bunny-esque rabbit creatures, and let me tell you, it is one heck of a game. I know I've never talked about this game on my channel before, and I literally just said 2 seconds ago that I didn't like RPGs, but man is this game awesome. I don't even know if Mario & Rabbids can be officially classified as an RPG, I think the proper term is tactics game, but whatever it is, I adore the gameplay style. You basically have this team of 4 characters running around 4 main worlds. These worlds each have a little bit of treasure and puzzling in them, but the majority of the game is spent in battles. Please don't make fun of me too much for my complete ignorance on the subject of RPGs and tactics games. I'm really a total novice in this field, but the battles in Mario & Rabbids are set up kind of like board games. You and the evil Rabbids take turns moving and attacking around a big, obstacle-ridden grid, and the battlefields can require you to either kill an amount of enemies or reach a goal. You have 8 characters to choose 3 of to fight with in each battle, and they all have unique strengths, weapons, abilities, all that good stuff. You give them new skills on a skill tree, you use coins to buy new weapons, it works just like all the other awesome fun RPGs out there. Some of the levels toward the end can get pretty challenging, so much so that the only reason I didn't beat the game is because I couldn't beat the last few levels. Issues with personal skill level aside, I would love a full sequel to Mario+Rabbids Kingdom Battle. The combat was awesome, the worlds were built great, it had a really fun aesthetic, it was just an all-around awesome game. Mario+Rabbids as my #1 pick isn't like all my other choices. I'm not asking for a dead franchise to return to its once former glory or anything. There's no horrible missed potential, I just really enjoyed the game for what it was. Mario+Rabbids Kingdom Battle is one of my favorite games on the Switch, and more than any other game I didn't mention in the old version of this video, I want it to get an equally memorable sequel. Thanks for watching, everyone! Those are my most wanted Switch games, but remember to tell me what yours are down in the comments below. I usually have very unpopular tastes. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and have a great day!